Hey guys, hope you guys had a good day trading today. So this morning was very volatile. You can see we ended up putting a nice bearish trend day in, but man, this morning right here, there's a little V bottom and then a nice carrot top or V top. Really volatile this opening hour though. I definitely struggled this morning, but on this ride down, we were able to really capitalize and make some nice gains. So couple big things to note here. So last week, actually all the way back in really end of March, beginning of April, I was talking about this huge cup and handle that was possibly going to be forming here, which put a downside target of about 404, 402 to 404. And this is perfectly playing out. So now, I mentioned this on Friday last week, we have the really nice M pattern that's playing out just perfectly too. Obviously, this is a longer term sell-off target, but we'll see what we play out here. But short term, biggest thing you can note here is 405.2 was lost, was closed under, major level. You can see going back how much price action there is with this level. You can see right here, this is the last major stop at it, and then we busted through it here. So biggest thing to note is I was looking for the retest of that daily 20 EMA, and we did get it. I actually kind of expected more of a bullish day, to be honest. I thought we'd have a little bit more of an inside day, but we ended up just coming in full bear today, closing a new low, closing under 405.2 and closing just over the daily 50 EMA. So tomorrow we will look to hold this continued resistance line that we have now, which 407.8 is that resistance. And really my downside target is going to be 401.36 and then eventually 399. So we have a supply that's left over here, and we did take out supply here at 405.2 today. So now we're pretty much just sitting with our two demands right here, a supply up here. And you can see what's also interesting, while we did not turn this demand into a supply, we did reject it. You can see 406.7 demand was hard rejected. So that's going to be the nice resistance level to keep an eye on. You can see this was actually the support back here in the bottom of this bounce right here. So realistically, my target is the daily 100 and 200 EMA, and this 399 support area for the supply to take that level out. Going over to futures here. So futures is seeing a little bit more of a bigger bounce. I was able to fix my chart. You can't see it on my screen now, and if I move it, it messes up my video quality. But just below where I'm pointing right here on the futures charts, there is something called SET. It says it's used settlement as closed on daily interval. So apparently I had that checked. I didn't know that. And that changes the daily candle. So now that I unchecked that, it has a matching price with TOS, which is much nicer here. So biggest thing here is we did go ahead and hold for 4110 as resistance, which was yesterday's support. So we turned that into resistance today. We did get the daily 20 EMA rejection, and we actually might even, depending on where price action goes tomorrow, we might even get the daily 8 and 20 EMA bearish crossover. We did hard bounce off the daily 50 EMA though, but we are going to close under 40.95. Same thing, 40.95, you can see how major of a level this has been. So now that we closed under that, favoritism absolutely goes to the downside. Major target here on futures is 40.40 and 40.55. Those are our only two supplies that are left that we need to take out downside, and then we can look at a bigger bounce or maybe even a bigger sell-off. One other interesting thing too here is we did come up and pretty much perfectly, almost to the penny, or to the point, whatever you want to call it on futures, reject 41.16, which was yesterday's was demand, which is going to be now resistance. So again, we did not turn that into supply, but turning a demand and confirming it as resistance is bearish. So going forward, I continue to look for that. Same thing, we have a nice downside trend right now. Key resistance for tomorrow really is going to be 41.10, and then key support is going to be getting under 40.80 and trying to hit 40.40 to 40.55. Looking at the VIX here, VIX is very interesting to me right now. So we have a really nice clear V bottom forming here. And we did close two candles in a row over the daily 20 EMA, something we have not done since all the way back here in March 20 and 20, or 17th and the 20th, which was obviously near the top, which was the bottom on SPY. But we have a really nice doji candle here. So it's not quite a perfect double top, but this doji here would favor that we could actually see a bigger reversal back down on the VIX tomorrow. But on the same note, we did come down, test the daily 8 EMA and bounce. So we're kind of at an interesting place here on the VIX. Not enough information for me to really say where we're going to go. Meta currently is ripping after hours. You can see it's already up at 235, which you can't see on the side here, but currently up 12%. It had a beat on earnings, but I would hardly call the forward guidance very bullish. So interestingly enough, it said that it saw a Q2 revision on revenue, down almost 3 billion. So that's a pretty big revision down. And it saw expenses for the fiscal year rise also almost 4 billion. Actually 6 billion. And it's going to see some losses with Reality Labs to increase. There's an outlook of about 5 billion in restructuring costs and additional pre-tax restructuring charges of 621 million in Q1. So kind of interesting to see that we are seeing such a massive rally here on that news. While yeah, it did beat on EPS from at 2.2 versus 2.01. And I mean, monthly users did drop by 0.01 billion. And they did have a Q1 revenue beat of 28.65 billion. Sorry, that was their estimate, and then they actually hit 227.67 billion. So they did have a beat on Q1 revenue and EPS, but I mean, honestly, everything else does not look super hot. So that there should be an earnings call tonight at some point. It looks like it's at 5 p.m. tonight, so that'll be interesting to see if Zuck says anything crazy about that. But overall, I remain bearish going forward, but just see how it goes. So, all right, I hope you guys had a good day trading today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.